Your eyes just opened. 1 second you were standing in a flooded train station that wasn't quite a train station, holding the hand of someone who died 11 years ago, and now you are staring at a ceiling. That fast, that simple. This is second zero. The transition is so absolute that your brain hasn't fully registered which side of it is real. The room is here, the ceiling fan is here, but the train station is also here. The water on your shoes, the face of the person you have not seen since the funeral, all of it sitting in your nervous system at full resolution, indistinguishable in this exact moment from the bed you are lying in. That indistinguishability has a lifespan, and the clock on it has already started. You have approximately 60 seconds. In 60 seconds, the dream will not just fade, it will be actively, surgically, biologically erased. By the time you sit up, brush your teeth, and reach for your phone, an entire alternate existence, one your brain spent 90 minutes constructing in extraordinary detail, will have been deleted with the precision of a controlled demolition. This is not memory failure. This is design. Second 10. The first thing that hits you is chemical. During REM sleep, the stage where dreams reach their most vivid, narrative, emotionally complex form, your brain performs something that no other state in human existence permits. It completely shuts off the production of noradrenaline, norepinephrine, the chemical responsible for alertness, vigilance, and the encoding of stress into long-term memory. This shutdown is not partial, it is total. For the first time in your waking or sleeping life, the locus coeruleus, the brainstem nucleus that produces this chemical, goes silent. This is the only window in the entire 24-hour cycle when this happens. Researchers have documented it across decades of work in the Journal of Neuroscience. The brain enters a chemically unique state designed specifically to allow emotional processing without the stress chemistry that would normally accompany it. You can dream of being chased without your body actually responding as if it is being chased. Then you wake up, and at second 10, the locus coeruleus comes back online with a violence that is difficult to overstate. Noradrenaline floods the system. The chemical that has been absent for 90 minutes returns at full operational level in seconds. Your alertness rises. Your heart rate stabilizes upward. Your prefrontal cortex begins the process of re-engaging the executive functions it had relaxed during sleep. And the dream, which existed in a chemical environment that no longer exists, begins to dissolve. The same way a deep-sea creature cannot survive at the surface, the architecture of the dream cannot survive in the noradrenergic atmosphere of waking consciousness. It was built for a different chemistry. The chemistry has changed. The structure cannot hold. You feel it as a kind of urgency. The dream is right there. You can almost hold it. You reach for it. And in the act of reaching, something accelerates the dissolution, because the act of conscious recall requires systems that the dream itself cannot tolerate. But the chemical flood is only the first wave. There is a second mechanism, and it is far more deliberate than dissolution. Second 30. This is where the story gets harder, because what is happening at second 30 is not passive forgetting. It is active erasure. In 2019, a team of researchers led by Dr. Thomas Kilduff at SRI International published a landmark study in the journal Science that fundamentally changed our understanding of how the brain manages dream content. Their work focused on a specific population of neurons in the hypothalamus that produce melanin-concentrating hormone, MCH neurons. These neurons had been studied for decades in connection with appetite and energy regulation. What Kilduff's team found was that a specific subset of these neurons does something else entirely. They erase memory. During REM sleep, MCH neurons fire intensely and project directly into the hippocampus, the structure responsible for forming and consolidating new memories. When MCH neurons fire, they actively suppress hippocampal activity. They prevent the encoding of incoming information into long-term storage. The brain is not allowing the dream to be recorded. It is, in a precise neurological sense, instructing the memory system to refuse the file. When the team artificially activated these neurons in mice, the animals showed dramatic deficits in memory formation. When they silenced them, memory consolidation improved. The MCH system was functioning as a deliberate, biological deletion protocol. Not a flaw in the architecture, a feature. You feel this at second 30 as a very specific human experience. You roll over. The person next to you stirs. You try to share the dream because it was extraordinary, because it contained something you need to communicate, because some part of you understands that whatever you saw will not survive long enough for you to process it on your own. You begin. We were in our house, but it wasn't our house. And you were my third grade teacher. And there was something in the kitchen. And the moment you say the word kitchen, you realize the kitchen has already gone. There was something in it. You knew what it was 4 seconds ago. Now there is only the shape of having known. The narrative collapses while you are speaking it. You try to back up, to retrieve the thread, and the act of retrieval destroys the next layer down. The dream turns to ash in your mouth. Your partner waits. They have heard this attempt before. So have you. Every morning, in every relationship, in every bed in the world, this exact failure plays out in some variation. The dreamer reaches for words. The words arrive too late. The MCH neurons have already done their work. What remains is a feeling, sometimes sharp, sometimes soft, often emotionally significant, wrapped around a void where the content used to be. You apologize, you laugh, you say you can't remember, but what has happened is more precise than that. You have been edited. Second 60. The minute is up. The dream is functionally gone. There may be a residue, an image, a face, a sensation in the chest, but the structured experience that filled 90 minutes of REM sleep no longer exists in any retrievable form. And here the question that nobody asks until they understand the mechanism. Why? Why would evolution build a brain capable of generating astonishingly vivid, alternate realities every single night, and then build a second mechanism whose entire purpose is to delete those realities before the conscious mind can keep them? The answer is older than the question. Imagine, for a moment, that the deletion mechanism failed. Imagine you woke up tomorrow, and the dream you had the night before was as clear and persistent in your memory as the dinner you ate yesterday. Equally vivid, equally retrievable, equally weighted in your sense of what is real. You would not last the morning. In the dream, your sister did something unforgivable. In the dream, the man you trust most in your life confessed to a betrayal you would never have suspected. In the dream, you killed someone. In the dream, a stranger told you a truth that explains your entire life. In the dream, you were already living somewhere else, with someone else, and you had been for years. Without the firewall, all of these would compete equally with what actually happened. The brain would have no reliable mechanism for distinguishing dreamed events from lived ones. You would not be able to trust your sister. You would not be able to look the trusted man in the eye. You would not be able to determine whether you had committed the act or imagined it. You would walk through the world with thousands of false memories of equal weight to your true ones, and the question of what was real would have no answer. This is the hunter-gatherer firewall. 200,000 years ago on the African savanna, a hominid who could not distinguish a dreamed encounter from a real one would not survive a season. Was the watering hole real or imagined? Was the predator at the tree line a memory or a vision? Did the tribe member you saw in the night actually approach you with violence in his hand? Or did your sleeping brain construct the scene? The cost of confusion was measured in lives. The benefit of certainty was measured in survival. So the brain built a firewall, a two-stage system. The chemical flood that strips the dream of its native environment, and the MCH erasure protocol that scrubs the hippocampus of any record before it can be filed alongside true memory. The firewall does not care about the artistic value of the dream. It does not care that you saw your dead grandmother. It does not care that you experienced flight or beauty or a moment of perfect clarity that you will spend the rest of your morning trying to recapture and never will. It cares about one thing: keeping you anchored to shared reality. Because shared reality is the precondition for everything else. For language, for trust, for collective memory, for civilization itself. A species in which every member carried thousands of vivid false memories indistinguishable from true ones could not have built any of it. The dream had to be sacrificed so that the day could be trusted. And now the melancholic part. The part nobody tells you. Across the average human lifespan, you will spend approximately 6 years dreaming. 6 full years of vivid, immersive, emotionally complex experience. 6 years of alternate lives, alternate landscapes, alternate versions of yourself moving through scenarios your waking mind would never construct. All of it deleted, almost all of it by morning, nearly all of the rest by lunch. You have lived an entire second life inside this one. You have visited cities that do not exist. You have spoken with people who have never been born and people who are no longer alive. You have solved problems, fallen in love, run from things you will never see again, and reconciled with versions of people who could not be reached in the waking world. The brain takes those 6 years and burns them every morning in service of the 4 to 5 decades of contiguous, trustable, shareable reality that constitutes your conscious life. It is not a malfunction. It is the most generous sacrifice your nervous system makes on your behalf. And you will never thank it for the decision because you will never remember what was lost. The dream from this morning is gone. The dream you had 2 weeks ago. The one from when you were 23. The 1,000 dreams you had as a child that built whatever your imagination became. All of it processed, scrubbed, and released to make room for the one continuous self that walks through the world today. Somewhere inside you, the MCH neurons are already preparing for tonight. You will dream again. You will live another life. And by the time the kettle is boiling tomorrow morning, that life will be ash. And you will be exactly here, anchored to a single reality, the only one you are permitted to keep. If this gave you something worth remembering, subscribe.